Spouse probably cheated on me 25 years ago, does it matter now? About 25 years ago I was in the military and was on a 2-year assignment a day's drive from where my 38-years-old wife and I lived. We had been married about 20 years at that point. So I only came home on the weekends. After the first year wife started telling to just stay there and not come home until my assignment finally ended. I refused and continued coming home on the weekends. She started treating me very coldly and not wanting to be intimate on those weekends. Then after another 3 or 4 months she started randomly accusing of cheating on her and continued being cold towards me. When my remote assignment ended, I was given orders overseas for 3 years. So I started preparing to rent out our house and move my wife and teenaged sons. My wife constantly fought with me about it, saying she did not want to go and that I should go by myself. Also during this transition she was still cold and distant. My kids wanted to go, so she finally agreed to go. Once we got to the new location she started constantly finding fault with everything with me and the location. So after 6 months there I received permission to move her and my kids back home at the end of the year. The next 6 months was cordial at best. She was still cold but allowed some intimacy about once a week. As the end of the year drew closer she became excited about moving back and withdrew from me again. She stayed withdrawn from me for the last month or so. I took 2 weeks leave about a week after she departed with the kids and went back home to help out. After about 3 hours of arriving she was telling me to just leave and go back to my base. I stayed for about 10 days and returned to my base overseas. I was there for another 2.5 years. I would go home about every 4 months for 10 days and be treated the same way as I was the first time. We would be intimate maybe twice in those 10 days, but I got a feeling she was doing it out of a feeling of obligation rather than desire. Also she acted as if she wasn't really happy I was there and even stated she would like it better if I did not come back home until my time overseas was finished. For that remaining year and a half she remained cold and distant when I visited and whenever I would call her to see if all was okay. If I mentioned I had went to a cookout or bowling she would accuse me of cheating and hang up. She would also constantly tell me everything was my fault and was always in her way of doing what she wanted. After I finally got transferred back the coldness and distance remained. After 6 months back I moved out. I stayed gone and even told her that if that is the way she was going to be I wanted a divorce. So she agreed to marriage counseling. We went but it was mostly a joke. She blamed her coldness and distance on me not understanding her and what she wanted. So I moved back home and just ignored it from then on. I left the military and got a job that required constant traveling. Now 25 years later we are both in our 60s and retired. I have a lot of time on my hands now and time for self-reflection. Hindsight is almost always 20/20. Now I question her actions as I look back and analyze them. Various article I have read from persons who analyze cheating spouses. My wife's actions back then fit the pattern given by other cheaters. Even though I don't have the proof or smoking gun there was plenty of smoke. Over the years since then some of her friends and previous co-workers have made snide remarks about her possible cheating during get-togethers while the alcohol flowed. I have mentioned it to her a few times. She never denies what they say but responds questioning their honesty or that they were probably doing themselves. We still have an occasional blowout. A few times I have been so emotionally drained by always being who she lashes out at that I leave for a few hours just to get my composure back. When I come back I tell her that I will leave if that is what she wants. Then she immediately states that she never cheated on me and has always been faithful. To recap, 25 years ago my wife exhibited the cheater telltale symptoms listed by many professionals in the marriage counseling field. She pushed her spouse away, became distant, constantly found fault with her spouse, constantly denied cheating even though never accused of it, and constantly accused her remote spouse of cheating. Also she constantly worked overtime on the weekends at her company even though no one else there did except her boss. This occurred for about 3 years. So now to my question or dilemma. We have been married for 45 years now. I am now questioning our entire married years. I can't bury it at the back of my mind anymore. Should I leave this sleeping dog alone? Or should I discuss it all with her and probably tear our marriage apart? Update: a few of her co-workers, also Asian, are still around. They were also her friends. I have to be really careful because they stay in touch on FB. So I knew a couple of the husbands and will possibly try to talk with them. Two oldest kids were already out of the house. Youngest lived in the video game world and never paid much attention of her comings and goings. But I will talk with them a little. Update. So I tried to reach out to someone and was very careful in what I said. His wife immediately called my wife asking why we were separated and other BS. Glad I did not actually ask my real questions. So this tells me I can't. So we'll just confront her directly and try to get her to believe I actually know something and not just suspicion. Need to get my physical living accommodations set up here in the US first. It has been a while since my original post and short update. I might have posted an update after the ones on the original post. So I confronted her. She denied and kept asking who told me. She then just brushed it off as whoever it was must just be jealous of her. Even after I itemized her behavior back then in detail. She just continued to deny. Then started accusing me of not being nice back then and that I hurt her by not trusting her. She also kept wiping non-existent tears. Now this discussion was over video chat. So there might have been tears. But as soon as I backed off she just started saying I just had bad communication with her etc. Since then I tried to get past it, took her on a Caribbean cruise but I just don't have those loving feelings. At this point I don't wish her any misfortune but just want to leave her. Now my oldest son and his family decided to get ancestry DNA tests. Told me the wife and I should too. So I did and I had my youngest do it also. Turns out my oldest son and my youngest son are only half-brothers. The DNA test also shows that my oldest son is not my biological son. My youngest is. I never suspected this. But there was no fidelity. My wife was pregnant for about a month before we met. 2.5 months into our relationship she told me she was pregnant. I was 19 so I assumed it was mine. I was quite naive and stupid then. So my upbringing and my infatuation convinced me I needed to marry her. So I ended up raising 2 kids that weren't mine. She had a 4-month-old when we met, and one that was. I love the 2 oldest just as much as my youngest. That will never change. I have not told the wife about this yet. I need to discuss it with my oldest son and then all 3 of them. Then I will also inform them that I'm divorcing their mother. The 2 oldest will have to ask her who their biological fathers are. I have no clue. Then I will video chat with her and inform her of everything and my intentions to file. I still feel there was at least an EA and possibly a PA 25 to 30 years ago. But I most likely will never know for sure. My decision is really based on the years of the emotional and threatened physical abuse, constant lack of respect for me, and lack of empathy or consideration for anything I needed or wanted. I will post additional updates as significant actions are taken. Update 2. Spouse probably cheated on me 25 years ago, does it matter now? At the end of my last update I was going to tell my kids the truth and then the wife. I told my kids that 5 days ago. It was pretty tough. All of my kids took it pretty good but I think my oldest son may still be processing it. I also informed my oldest child their paternity also, not shocked at all. I do not know if their biological dads are the same individual or 2 different men. So the oldest child will get a DNA test also. I told both of them to ask their mom. Hopefully she will remember and tell them. I decided to just text my wife instead of video chat. After 40+ years I knew that would end badly. I would probably lose my composure and blow up. That would not have helped. Also I am pretty emotional over this. The text was short and to the point. DNA test child is not mine and only half-sibling to the youngest. I stated I did not accept being lied to for 40+ years, that the marriage was over and that I was filing for divorce. She replied shortly after that. I did not respond to any of her texts. First it was a misunderstanding about her lying to me and that she did not know. Then it was just us having bad communication. Then she was sorry that I had so much hate for her and she would sing the papers and hoped I would find someone to make me happy. Next the blaming me for everything and that I never cared and never trusted her. Still I did not respond. Then the anger really kicked in and she agreed that divorce would be best and to get it over with. All of her texting was over about 2 days. Then there was a lull for a day. I texted her that I would only text her regarding the kids, grandkids, and the divorce from now on. I included the financial support she will get and how. She gets half my military and federal pensions. She asked if I would just send all of her belongings to her. I said I would. Since then it has been dead silence from her. She has contacted the two oldest about everything. I have not done the paperwork yet, will do that shortly. That's all for now. Update number 3. Spouse probably cheated on me 25 years ago, does it matter now? So not much has really transpired since my last update. I have a briefing with my lawyer this coming Monday. Soon-to-be ex-wife continues to try and bait me into an online argument by blaming me for not loving her, never trusting her, etc. Then long texts about throwing everything we have worked on for 46 years with pictures and crap. Trying to guilt me into submission. So far I have been successful in just ignoring it, staying civil, and text only about kids and divorce issues. Presently she says she'll sign so we can just move on. Knowing her like I do, I doubt that will happen. The only issue is the house. Her house in her country is fully paid for with my retirement funds. The profit on the house will hopefully be close to that amount. So I only plan to go 70/30ths on the net profit. She did not like that, but we'll see. Kids are mostly okay. My oldest, adopted daughter, has been avoiding me, so hopefully time will help her cope. My sons are okay, just do not want to be in the middle. I promised all 3 kids I won't put them in the middle. Update number 4. Spouse probably cheated on me 25 years ago, does it matter now? Papers were served yesterday via email. The spouse accepted them, signed them, and emailed them back to the lawyer. She stated not what she wanted but would do it for me so we could move on. So as I knew would happen, she still lays the blame at my feet. She also had to get her digs in about the kids finding out and me making her life terrible. She also complained about me never talking to her and keeping everything in. Funny, I only started doing that when it became obvious she did not really want to hear me discuss anything, or care about what I wanted or needed. I almost fell for the bait to get in a war of words. I just cut it off and signed off. I never knew what narcissism was until I read about it here and then Googled it. Every problem I had with her actions or lack of actions when discussed always were turned around as my imagination or really just caused by me. She has never taken any responsibility for the crap she has caused over the years. When I look back over the years, my every action was based on if she would like it or would it make her happy. I know it is pretty pathetic, but when you're knee-deep in the BS you really have a hard time seeing it. Now I can see her only need or desire for me over the years has only been to support her and give her the lifestyle she wanted. But as far as she's concerned, I never did a good job at that either. The next big obstacle will be the property settlement. Not because we have so much, but mainly she thinks she is entitled to most of it. She bases that on the fact I want the divorce, so I should be the one who gives up the most. My next update will be a while. Once most of the dust settles, I'll come back for a final update, I hope.